Welcome to this month's segment of Just Ask John, brought to you by JRC Consulting Group. I'm John Carr, the founder and CEO of JRC Consulting Group, and this month's question comes from an anonymous email I received. And the question was, do you have any recommendations on how to balance work and personal life when spouses are working from home at the same time? We don't have an official office, and we have school-aged children who return home around 3 p.m. I can completely relate to this, as my wife and I work at home at the same time as well occasionally. And some of the things that we have to do is set some boundaries and make sure that we stay focused on the work time. So one of the things that you have to keep in consideration is that your school children do get home by 3, so you're gonna have a little less time to be working. You won't have all day to work. So we wanna make sure that even though you have limited time to work, that you get the most out of it. So my first recommendation is that you each find a workspace that is separate from each other, that you will actually make sure that you're not going to be disturbing each other. And you're going to have to agree that this is my workspace and this is your workspace. So it's very important that you do that. As soon as you find that workspace, you make sure that you do not disturb each other and that that's your work zone and that all bets are off. In other words, nobody's allowed to bother you when you're in that space. So number one, find your space. Second, and I think this is most likely the most important one, is just like in life, you need to set some boundaries when you're working from home. So at my house, what we do is if the office door or the spare bedroom door is closed, we actually know that that's not time that we do not disturb each other. So you want to make sure that if the office door is closed or there's a piece in the room, that you make sure that you have to have some sort of signal that you do not disturb each other during that period of time. Okay, the only time that we're allowed to be disturbed is if the house is on fire or there's a flood. That's it. There's no other reason for us to disturb each other until the door opens. We also have a rule that during the day, there is no personal talking during certain hours. So an example of that I would suggest is, say, for example, from 9 to 11:30 a.m., you're left alone, you don't talk, and if you do have to have a brief communication, it has nothing to do with, grocery shopping or what you're doing over the weekend or anything like that. You have to keep it very focused on business for that period of time. And then my suggestion would be from about 8 to 11:30 is when you do that, but then at 11:30, take that break, talk for a few minutes, and then what I would really strongly suggest is maybe have lunch together. You're gonna have lunch for about 30 minutes, and that will give you your opportunity to communicate some of the personal things that you may have that you wanna talk about, dinner that night or whatever is gonna be going on. Once lunch is over, personal talk time is over. Now's the time to get focused back into work. You have to be disciplined for this. So it's then you can work to about 2:30. Once 2:30 hits, that's when you should shut down so you can be ready for your family time. You can get ready for your children. You can talk for a few minutes with your spouse to determine, what's going on for the rest of the day or any of those types of things. So it's real important to make sure that you do that. So the key to make this work is that you have to have discipline and stay focused on work. This is not easy and not everybody can do this. But I can promise you, if you do that and you have mutual respect for each other, that you can actually take time working from home and be very successful when you're working from home. Thanks again, and we look forward to seeing you next time. And if you want to send your question in, send it to John at JRC Consulting Group.